Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. It's been a while since our last video as we are doing some restructuring. I heard this story and thought I'd share it. Today we want to share with you a heartwarming story that has touched the lives of millions of people around the world. It's the story of Teddy Stoddard, a little boy who was struggling to find love and acceptance, but with the help of a compassionate teacher and the caring community, Teddy's life was forever changed. This story is about the power of kindness, empathy, and the impact that we can have on each other's lives. So sit back, relax, and let us take you on a journey that will warm your heart and remind you of the goodness in the world. Okay, so also don't forget to like and subscribe, and thanks for helping us grow this channel. We really appreciate it. Okay, so here we go. Let's get started. There's a story from many years ago that tells of an elementary school teacher whose name was Mrs. Thompson. As she stood in front of her fifth grade class on the first day of school, she told the children a lie. Like most teachers, she looked at her students and told them that she loved them all the same. We've heard this before, but that simply wasn't true. Because in the front of the row, slumped in the seat, was a little boy named Teddy Stoddard. Mrs. Thompson had watched Teddy, the year before and noticed that he didn't play well with other children. His clothes were messy and he constantly needed a bath. Teddy could be pretty unpleasant at times. It got to the point where Mrs. Thompson would take delight in marking his papers with a broad red pen and making a big, bold X's and finally putting a big F on the top of his papers. At the school where Mrs. Thompson taught, she was required to review each child's past records. She put Teddy's off till the last. When she finally reviewed his file, she was in for a surprise. Teddy's first grade teacher wrote, "Teddy's a bright child with a ready laugh. He does his work neatly and has good manners. He's a joy to be around." His second grade teacher wrote, "Teddy's an excellent student and well liked by his classmates, but he's troubled because his mother has a terminal illness and life at home must be a pretty big struggle." Okay, his third grade teacher wrote, "His mother's death has been hard on him. He tries to do his best, but his father doesn't show much interest. His home life will soon affect him if steps aren't taken." Teddy's fourth grade teacher wrote, "Teddy's withdrawn and he doesn't show much interest in school. He doesn't have many friends, and sometimes he even falls asleep in class." Okay, by now Mrs. Thompson realized the problem and she was ashamed of herself. She felt even worse when her students, brought her Christmas presents, wrapped in beautiful ribbons and bright paper, except for Teddy's. His present was clumsily wrapped in a heavy brown paper bag that he got from a grocery store. Mrs. Thompson took pains to open it in the middle of the other presents. Some of the children started to laugh when she found the rhinestone bracelet with some, stones missing, and a little bottle that was 1/4 full of perfume. But she stifled the children's laughter when she explained how pretty the bracelet was while putting it on and then dabbing some of the perfume on her wrist. Teddy Stoddard stayed after school that day just long enough to say, "Mrs. Thompson, today you smell just like my mom used to." After the children, had left, she cried for at least an hour. On this day, she quit teaching reading, writing, and arithmetic, and instead, she began to teach children. Mrs. Thompson began to pay close attention to Teddy as she worked with him. As time went on, his mind seemed to come alive. The more she encouraged him, the faster he responded. By the end of the year, Teddy had become one of the smartest children in the class. Despite her lie, he had become one of her teacher's pets. A year later, she found a note under the door from Teddy telling her that she was the best teacher he had ever had in his entire whole life. 6 years passed by, and to her surprise, another note came from Teddy. He wrote that he had finished high school, third in his class, and that she was still the best teacher that he had ever in his whole life. 4 years later, another letter came saying that while things had been tough at times, he stayed in school, stuck with it, and that he had graduated from college with honors, with the highest honors. He assured Mrs. Thompson that she was still the very best and favorite teacher he had ever had in his whole life. 4 more years passed by. Yet another letter came. This time he explained that after he got his bachelor's degree, he had decided to go a little further again, assuring her that, she was still the best and favorite teacher he ever had. The letter was signed Theodore F. Stoddard, MD. The story doesn't end there. There was one final letter that spring. Teddy said that he had met the girl of his dreams and he was going to get married. He explained that his father had passed away a couple of years ago, and he was wondering if Mrs. Thompson might agree to sit in place where, his wedding that was usually reserved for the mother of the groom. Of course, Mrs. Thompson did. She wore that bracelet, the one with the several rhinestones missing. She also made sure she was wearing the perfume that Teddy remembered his mother wearing on their last Christmas together. After the wedding, they hugged each other, and Dr. Teddy Stoddard whispered in Mrs. Thompson's ear, "Thank you so much for making me feel important and showing me that I can make a difference." Mrs. Thompson, with tears in her eyes, whispered back, "Teddy, you have it all wrong. You were the one who taught me that I could make a difference. I didn't know how to teach until I met you." Now, doesn't that just touch your heart? If you like this story of Teddy and Mrs. Thompson, don't forget to give it a like, share, subscribe, and remember, as you go throughout your day, life truly is easy. Unfortunately, people do make it hard. Don't be one of those people. You can either be part of the problem or part of the solution. The choice is up to you. Until next time, Carl Iglesias. Peace out.